right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's January 13th, 2026 Board of Selectmen meeting. Can I have everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? A moment of silence.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any amendments to the agenda this evening, gentlemen? No changes?
Nothing here.
All right, I will take a motion for the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda for this evening?
Oh, second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are good to go. Announcements. The public participation policy applies to all selectmen meetings. A copy of it is on the back of each agenda, posted outside this meeting room and on our website. Now I'd like to open it up to public input, limited to 3 minutes per person on agenda items only, please. Yes, please.
Yeah.
That one is not on. Just say,
Right.
okay, well, if that one's not going on, use the one.
We had the
Over here.
repair team in working on it yesterday, so it
Some-
should be all up and running.
Yeah, just let it go. There it is.
Gentlemen, my name is Reuben Wentworth. I was here before you on the 28th, December. Tonight, I'd like to, before I get done, when I get done, I'd like to hand all you one of these, one for the record. It's from a citizen of the town on the ambulance consideration of changing policy of price of charging taxpayers. In the last 2 weeks since I've talked to you, I went back through the last years of the town reports of the revolving fund. It's interesting to say on the summary of accounts because that is a record of finance for this town, if I'm not mistaken. Back in 2023, we'll go back to 2024, you had a balance of $931,854. No deposits showing, no interest, no withdrawals. 2023, you had $675,000, no deposits, no interest, no withdrawals. 2022, $744,164, no deposits, no interest, no withdrawals. 2021, you had $750,000 to start, $602, $309,526 deposits, interest none shown, withdrew $419,000. 2020, 551, 880, deposits 231, 276, interest $4,059, withdrew $36,613, left you a balance of $756.02. 2019, we had a balance of $156,230, deposits $530,427, interest $1,218, withdrawals $139,997, balance of $551,880. My question is, why aren't we seeing any more expenses since then? So it's very hard to come in here and say, don't start charging us citizens and taxpayers again, because people will say, I can't afford it. I go back to the fact I was a selectman. When I came back on, they were charging. We went back to the old policy. You had insurance, we charge you insurance. We accept what the insurance pays. If you want to give a donation, that's great. That's fabulous. But if you can't afford it, we abate it. We don't send you to Comstar 3 billings. Then we send you down to the fire department to ask for an abatement. Well, we'll help you with the abatement. Would you like to make a donation? That's kind of a coercion. If you look at the policy the way it stands now, that is not the way the motion was made tonight because I made it. The policy, somehow words changed a little. But people are having it hard enough now. You guys are going for a reval this year. Assessments are going to change drastically in this community. People will not be able to afford it. And we're going to say we're going to send you to collection. Our own community, we're going to send them to collection. We don't even do that for property taxes. We bring them in, we sit them down, we talk with them. What can we do? But we don't charge for fire buildings when we have a fire at our home or an accident. We do if there's an ambulance, we give them a thing, but we give free rescue off a mountain. We walk them down, we put them in the back of the ambulance. See you later, I don't want you to take me. Why do we want to start charging and putting more burden on our, especially our elderly people? Even our younger people that are facing rents of $3,000, $4,000 in this community. We don't need to. We have plenty of revenue here, but something happened the last 2 years that we're not showing the expenditures anymore. There should be at least a line item of $1 for ambulance expenses. There is not in the budget. I know it all comes out of the revolving fund, that's why we don't have one, but we should have one. But please, I'm asking you tonight not to vote on this proposal that the fire department is presenting. It is wrong for our community, it is bad for our taxpayers. And we don't need to be like the rest of the country and follow the federal guidelines or anything else. We're Alton. We've been able to do it on our own since Alton took over the ambulance from the Alton Volunteer Ambulance Services without charging. We moved the salaries into the budget so the taxpayers would help pay for the budget of the ambulance workers. That's great. But the money stayed here to replace ambulances, which we've been able to do, and still have a surplus fund. So why do we want to start charging? Because we can? We don't need to. But at least that's my opinion. So if I was sitting here with you gentlemen tonight, which I've sat with one of you anyways, I would say table it or open it up to a public hearing. Because this is not right for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Ruben.
Thank you, Ruben.
All right, seeing no more public input, I will close that, and we have no appointments this evening. So I'd like to move it on to new business, number 1. Map 12, Lot 14, it's a shared driveway approval. This, me and Mr. LaRochelle are very familiar with. For the other 2 board members that are here, it's been approved with the variance through the zoning board and the planning board. This is just a housekeeping thing, just to get the approval done for them. Do you guys have any questions on that?
No. No questions.
Go ahead. Yep. All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve map 12, lot 14, the shared driveway.
I'll second.
Whoop, go ahead.
If you don't mind,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, can we amend that motion to
Yeah.
just include the language, a shared driveway to service 3 residents?
Okay.
A shared
Yep.
driveway. I make a motion to approve the map 12, lot 14 for the 3 shared driveway approval.
And I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Going right down to number 2. Seth, come on down. We got solid waste permit fee ordinance proposed revisions. There we go. Hello, sir. All right, so what is the meat and potatoes of what you're changing here?
Okay, so, couple things. I assume this may take more than one sitting to go over all the things in here, because it is also a reworking of the solid waste ordinance itself, updating key things like going from the per yard fee that used to be charged before the scales to per pound, which we're using now. Updating holidays, updating a couple definitions in there as well, and the fee for the stickers. We are in 2026 now. This was obviously supposed to be for last year, but it got canceled due to weather, so here we are tonight. The increase of the stickers, and as well as a proposed addition to the policy, to the ordinance for short-term rental properties and an ability for them to essentially buy stickers to allow their tenants to bring things to the solid waste facility.
Like coupons or vouchers?
Coupons, yep, a coupon book. I did look into it, and actually Meredith does have a similar process that I found after. But I don't know how you'd like me to start, whether you'd like to start and go down through the list, or if you guys want to launch questions at me, or which way you gentlemen would like to proceed.
I guess we'll start right down. Let's just start on the very beginning of it. We'll go with the definitions, just what he's changing. I would just go through in the red what he's changing.
Okay.
So in section 2, under definitions, 2.3, that's the first change?
Yeah, so in there, in the copy that I gave you, the red obviously is things that I would like to remove or alter, and below that, the purple letter is my recommendation to add to there. I did also give you guys kind of a guide to go by,
yep.
listing the changes. So the first thing, yeah, under definitions, 2.3 would be just to kind of update go from commercial hauler definition and try and base that more toward a contractor, someone who's doing work in the community for a resident who would then have to dispose of that resident's debris, rather than someone who's collecting trash, demo, things like that from around town and then bringing them to the facility to dispose of them, like a trash route per se. So I changed the definition a little bit just to try and clarify that it's more for a contractor doing a job for a resident and then bringing that debris to the facility.
So you're saying instead of engages, a person who engages in removal, you're putting a person or contractor
Right.
that is doing removal of transport solid waste.
Yeah, so if you had hired a contractor to do a job at your house, then they could, with your building permit, go bring that stuff to the solid waste facility to dispose of.
So my only question, and you and I had spoken earlier on some of the details of this definition, but on behalf of residents or Alton-based businesses as of contracted work.
Yeah.
So as an Alton-based business performing work out of town, how would you control that?
So if a contractor was in town doing for businesses out of town, I guess where they are paying taxes, they are registered in the town, then they would still have access to the facility. They would just have to follow the other guidelines.
But the debris is being generated from outside of the town,
Yeah.
so it shouldn't be coming to our facility.
Gotcha.
So is there, you made a mention about a permit, so, I mean, if they showed a local permit that looked like it aligned with the kind of debris that they're bringing in, I mean, if somebody says they're doing a bathroom renovation and they've got, eight squares of roofing debris or something in the back, it's kind of a red flag.
Yeah, right, doesn't really line up with the permit that they have, correct, yeah.
Well,
I could always change the wording of that.
yeah, I think we just need
take
to
it to
tighten that up a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too.
So isn't there a provision in here somewhere, and I read it, but I didn't pick it all up, that if you are in that business, you need to bring a copy of the building permit for the work that you're doing?
Yeah, so if you were a contractor bringing material in there, as far as you were an out-of-town contractor bringing material in there.
Or even an in-town contractor?
No,
For instance, no.
yeah,
Okay.
no.
So that's where I think, that's what I was getting at, I guess, Richard, I was thinking that regardless, a contractor bringing in construction debris should have a permit that corresponds with that debris.
Correct.
For work in.
That's issued in our town.
Yeah, right.
Qualify that.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, something along those lines.
Okay, so I can change the wording of that.
The way you had it before would have been an outside contractor bringing debris in from Alton would need a building permit because he doesn't have a.
Because he doesn't have a
Because he
sticker.
doesn't have a sticker, and to me, that was fine.
Yes, correct. That was my intentions.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that, to do that. As far as contractors in town that are a taxpayer, that is working in, is debris coming from a job that's inside the town, as long as he has his permit. I mean, as far as his sticker,
Yeah,
I think that would be sufficient.
yeah, he still falls under the rest of the ordinance anyways, yeah, being a taxpayer.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm just grumpy tonight, anyway. But if this contractor is bringing, to use your example, 10 square of used asphalt shingles from a job he's doing in Wolfboro,
Yeah, it's not.
we wanted to take the stuff to Wolfboro,
Take it to Wolf.
He has to take it to Wolfboro, yes.
even if he's an Alton contractor.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, so the next change is gonna be under section 3 and the mandatory recycling. On 3.2,
Yep. So under 3.2, the items that were removed from there are items that we are not currently recycling, and for one reason or another, whether it be we don't physically have the capacity to handle these items in a quantity that we can get money for them, or there's something that we simply don't have a vendor to get rid of them to other than waste management. So those items are paper in general, newspapers, plastic milk jugs, plastic soda bottles, plastic containers, and the rest of it also falls under the plastics 1 through 7. Primarily plastics and papers. The rest of them we are still recycling. We are still getting money for. The glass bottles, we do recycle them. We still have to pay to get rid of them, but we pay less to get rid of those than we would in the regular dumpster, in the regular MSW. So that's why those are left as a recyclable item.
Well, 3.4, that new addition on 3.4 would cover if you do have vendors that would take those and there is a mass quantity of them, that gives you the ability to be able to change it, correct?
Correct, yeah. So if the market changes and they come in tomorrow and say, hey, we can give you this for plastic and it makes sense for us to start bailing and hauling plastic, then
Then you can change that.
then we can change that, correct,
Okay.
yeah.
Seth, you got a container down there to receive styrofoam.
Yep.
Does that fall into one of these categories, or?
So the styrofoam is actually going to Guilford. They are a regional hub for styrofoam recycling. So we're collecting the styrofoam and we're bringing it up there in loads of 10 to 12 of those big white 1-yard bags at a time. And what that does is that keeps that bulky but otherwise light trash out of our MSW. So it's essentially preventing the wasted space in our dumpsters. They have a process of breaking it up into small beads in which they melt down and turn into basically an ingot, and they're selling them. But that's where our styrofoam's going. That's what that's for. Yeah.
So would you list that in here as an additional category?
I could add that in there, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Section 6.
Section 6, gonna start charging for waste oil disposal. That's pretty good. Just $1 per gallon?
$1 per gallon, yeah.
Okay.
So, my thought behind this is every year we end up with roughly 4 to 5 barrels of contaminated waste oil from us collecting waste oil. That's from condensation building in all the tanks. That's from people bringing in stuff with a little bit of water in it, oil, sticks, leaves. There's always a little bit of contaminated waste oil that we generate out of collecting oil. That runs right around $350 to $500 a barrel for us to get rid of. Last year, we were lucky, we got rid of it with the Household Hazardous Waste Program. They took them as a down, like it came in off of the residents. So it didn't cost us that fee last year, but moving forward, it will. We take in roughly 25 to 30 gallons a week in the summertime, and there's slower periods, but in general, that's where we tend to run about. So, that could generate enough money to
pay
cover
for
us getting rid of the
Yeah,
waste
rid of
that's
it, yeah.
generated from it.
Absolutely.
So with that, we would have to add a line to the recycling revolving, and that would be my thoughts, with the money would go into the recycling revolving. That would then allow us to pay to get rid of this contaminated oil that we're generating.
No, it's a good idea.
I agree with that, yes.
And would you round up to the next gallon for somebody that shows up with 6 quarts, or?
Yeah, the attendants would have to use a little bit of discretion. If someone showed up with a half a quart, or if someone showed up with 2.5 quarts, there'll have to be a little bit of discretion at that point.
Okay.
And then the other change is the bottom of that, 6.3. The Director of Solid Waste, along with the Solid Waste Center staff, shall have the authority to refuse acceptance of waste oil when adequate storage capacity is not available, obviously, yes.
Correct, yeah. So this past summer, we actually did get into a situation where all of our storage tanks were full. We had an abundance, and part of that was my own fault. In the springtime, we got an offer for a really good rate on the transformer oil that Highway purchases to heat their facility with. It was a good deal, and I bought too much of it, and our tanks were full for the summertime, which kind of limited what we could take in from the solid waste facility. But we didn't have anywhere in our policy that said we didn't have to take it. So my thought is, if we can't store it in a safe manner, we shouldn't be taking it.
Yeah, agree, definitely agree. So that brings us to section 7. 7.1, you're gonna change it from commercial to construction?
Yeah, I think that might have been a typo on the original one, so it was
Yeah. Just changing that word.
It wasn't commercial and demolition debris, it's construction and demolition debris.
7.2 is more of the same, just changing the wording and the cost a little bit.
So 7.2 also has a little bit of difference in the pay structure. It's removing the old by the yard format we used to use before the scale, and then adding in the by the pound structure
By
we're
the
using
pound.
now with the scale.
10 cents a pound.
10 cents a pound, yeah. So looking at that, I know we had talked about it before, whether, you know, I thought we needed to increase our rate to 12 cents a pound or so to kind of keep up with the price of what we're paying to get rid of the stuff. We're currently paying $100, $100 a ton to dispose of C&D items. Really, the only influx we have is the amount that we're getting at any one particular time. That's adding to our costs, and that comes in how much we're having to handle it. And that's the pictures that I did give you gentlemen tonight. There's been an influx in the larger dump trailers coming in. You know, years ago, 6-yard dump trailer was big. Now you get 16-yard dump trailers. So when we get back 12, 16-yard dump trailers up there dumping over the wall, it's a lot more handling of that material that they have to do up there to get that broken up and put into dumpsters. So me and Scott went back and forth on it a little bit, and he had come up with the idea of a 10% surcharge on loads over 4 yards. So on the cost, so if it was $500, it would be 10%.
10%
Yeah,
on top of that.
on top of that. And that was really to try and keep the 10 cents per pound and not have to raise that, and really more so address the people that are bringing in the larger quantities.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
And did you also have, and we might cover that somewhere else in here, is a length issue for what's being dumped?
Yes, so that is in section 7.4, which is the next part of this section. In those pictures, you will also see there an entire dock in the back of a 6-wheel dump truck that is pretty common. So that's something that takes a little bit of time for the loader to sit there and break
it
up
up.
and, you know, out there running chainsaws, things like that. It's a lot more handling of the material that's being brought in.
Keeping it at 8-foot lengths is much more manageable
Yeah,
for the loader and to stacking it into dumpsters.
Yeah, it fits in the dumpsters better if it's shortened up into 8-foot pieces. The loader can easily scoop it against the wall. The bucket's just under 9 feet, 8 feet, fitting it pretty easy. And yeah, it just helps to take care of some of those open voids in the dumpsters that could lead to unnecessary hauls if there's a dock in there propped up that, you know, has 2 yards of open space under it, but the dumpster's full, you know.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you think that the 10% surcharge is adequate for the larger loads? You know, in reality, you're talking about going from 10 cents to 11 cents?
I feel like it is. I mean, it's fairly mild, but I didn't really want to go too over the top with it. I wanted to kind of keep it reasonable, and really just kind of focus it at the people that are bringing in the larger loads.
It's a good starting point.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, brings us to section 9. Section
9.3.
Yep, 9.3 gets stricken. And then we go down to section 10, short-term property coupon policy. And this we were talking about earlier, I do believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Touched on it
Yep.
briefly. And sorry, not to go back, but section 8, the prices that were in this one could be the prices on the handout that.
Okay,
I-
okay.
Yes, we have that.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is the actual fee structure. That was the old fee structure that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, section 10, the short-term rental. So my thoughts are with this is, and doing a little bit of research, find my notes here. My research shows there to be about 160 to 180 short-term rental properties in Alton that operate primarily for about 13 to 14 weeks through mid-June to Labor Day.
Right.
I'm sure there's more that operate through the winter time for skiing, snowmobiling, fishing, that type of sort of thing, but by and large, that kind of timeframe. That doesn't, from my understanding, account for all the properties that may have multiple, like cabins. That's just the facilities themselves. And I'm sure some of these larger short-term rental properties probably have dumpsters of their own that get hauled off-site, I mean, out of town. But the thought was to give these people an option to buy a coupon book that they could then give their tenant or their, whoever's renting, that coupon, and that would allow them 1 day's access to the solid waste facility to dispose of their trash. Being a short-term rental facility, majority of what they're bringing is gonna be household trash and maybe recyclables if they're good about recycling. Probably not a lot of people coming into a short-term rental and bringing in shingles, you know, up to the transfer station. But so, the thought was to give them a 20 coupon booklet that they could purchase, like a sticker, but it would be, the booklet would be $100. That would make each ticket about $5 for someone to come and bring their trash, and that would alleviate, you know, the owners from having to go and take out their tenant's trash every time their rental property is used. It would allow them to come to the facility, like I said, for a day, the whole day, so they, you know, got home and forgot something, it wasn't, oh darn, you know.
Yep, okay.
And just figuring that would be another way to pick up a little more revenue to help offset the cost of the MSW.
Okay.
Operations of the
I
facility.
agree with that. That's probably the best way to regulate that we can do.
Would you, do you see any issues with the limitation of the coupons to a 2-year period? I mean, if I had one short-term rental and I bought a book of coupons, conceivably, it could be years before I used them all.
Right.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Richard, that, you know, having no expiration on them is, you know, that way, that same coupon, you know, if you're only renting it out 5 weeks a year,
Yep.
Some do and some don't, yeah.
yeah, that this way at least, that more incentive to use the coupons to buy the book.
Okay, if there's no expiration
With
on
no
it.
expiration date.
Expiration, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, certainly, we can do that. The thoughts were to keep them, you know, current with the stickers, that way people weren't trading them or anything like that, but that's fine, absolutely.
Yeah, because I imagine you got Scott or somebody's collecting that.
Yeah,
coupon.
yeah, absolutely. So, I made up this little, I'm sorry, I just made this up today. Trying to keep it low cost, obviously, not buying books, I went through on the computer and I made a coupon book, so on there it would have the purchaser's information along with their short-term rental permit number. That would be their authorization to buy the book. And then we'd keep a copy of this of who it was, that way we know who has what books. And then in there, each one of them is just a coupon, book one, coupon one, and it says allows 1 day use of the facility. And then, you know, you could use these did have a valid from January 26th to December 27, but I could easily get rid of that.
Would you consider, it might make the darn thing too complicated, but including on the coupon, the common restrictions, so somebody doesn't show up at the dump with one bag, I got my coupon, but all these tin cans and everything else are mixed in here.
Yeah, absolutely. I could,
Cold trash.
yeah. I could put on there, you know, a quick highlight of the rules and regulations, and I could attach it to like the cover sheet. You know what I mean? I could have this whole other section on there that I
And
could.
obviously, there are some short-term rentals that the owner does the
Right.
trash removal.
Yeah.
And there's a certain amount of those that are around that take care of their own.
Right, and they wouldn't be
Obviously.
required to buy
And
one.
they wouldn't be,
They
yeah.
wouldn't be required to buy one.
Correct.
It would really just be,
They'll
Right.
just use their sticker and.
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Any more questions on those? All right, so we'll go down to skip section 11, that stays, section 12, general rules. Couple changes here, you're gonna strike 12.3. And in 12.4, just changing some wording, it looks like,
And
Yeah,
where the sticker placement is and, okay,
yeah, so 12.
and the cost.
Yeah, 12.3 was just, is essentially dump picking, you know, removing that. We have the swap shop I felt it's best to remove dump picking for all the same reasons that we went back and forth about swap shop. If someone grabs a faulty electrical appliance, something like that, or they shouldn't be dump picking that way, kind of protect us from those liabilities. They should go into the swap shop and getting the stuff from there. Yeah, sticker placement, I'm sorry. New Hampshire's now moved it. We all know the inspection sticker, which is now going away, is on the lower left. There is a Safe C in New Hampshire inspection manual that dictates, permits, call it parking permits, parking passes need to be on the lower right.
Lower right-hand corner.
Yeah. So just following those guidelines. And 12.5,
Before we leave 12.4,
yes.
you really eased that $20 increase in there. Do you, I assume, I know you must have done some research to see what other towns are doing.
Yes, yeah, sorry, I apologize. I didn't mean to skip the 20.
I was gonna bring it up too.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to skip the $20 portion. Yes, I did do some research in other towns. $20 is a very common, a fee that's charged in many other communities around us. Some are more, some are a little bit less.
And again, for the record, that's for 2 years.
That's for 2 years, that's right. And if you factor that your average person brings 3 bags of trash to the facility a week, 52 weeks, by the time you take that out for 2 years, that's like 6 cents per bag of trash.
Yeah.
At $20.
Yeah, no question, it's a bargain. It's just,
Yeah.
if you've been a 50 cent a year guy and all of a sudden you're a $10 a year guy,
Yes, understandable. It is an understandable jump, and me and Scott did go back and forth about this a couple of times as well. He was gonna be here tonight. He ran into some issues, and he was unable to make it. But he had suggested 10. I personally felt that 10 was still a little bit light for our usage and the community size, and again, comparing it to other communities around us of similar size. Looking back through how many stickers we've sold over the past three stickers, we typically sell right around 3,000 stickers a year. With the first year of the sticker obviously being the lion's share of them. So like in 2020, we sold 3,036 stickers, and in 21 we sold 1,075. So typically the first year of the sticker is more. 22 to 23 was a little bit less. 22 we sold 1,339. 23 we sold 936. 24 was 2,185, and then 25, as of halfway through December, we were at 875. So we're still tracking right around that 3,000 stickers a year. And at $20 a sticker, that's an actual measurable amount that we can apply toward getting rid of the trash. Where at $1, it doesn't really help us get rid of anything.
and go ahead.
I was just gonna ask that you qualify in that 12.4 that is a biannual fee for that sticker permit.
That is correct. That
Yeah.
$20 is for 2 years.
2 years.
Right,
2
right,
years,
but
yeah.
just to clarify that within that paragraph.
Okay. Put that information in there. Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't say.
And the other item is the monitoring of all of this. I mean, who's going to
It's big money
monitor
now.
this? Because Scott can't, I mean, he's got enough going on.
Yeah. So really, that is a responsibility of all the attendants at the facility, is they should be keeping an eye on the vehicles coming in and making sure that people have them. If people don't have one, they need to be reminded, hey, you need to go up and get a sticker. At that point, if someone doesn't want to buy a sticker, then they can't use the facility. It's theft of services at that point.
So if I go down there and buy a sticker, do we have some kind of a, like, cash register or something? Because you're talking bigger money now than,
Yeah,
you
so
know,
the
a buck
stickers
for a
stickers
sticker.
are to be sold at the scale house. That is the only facility, that is the only building on the property that has a cash register and the means
Okay,
to handle
all
money.
right,
Yeah.
great.
Good. And again, you feel as though that the $20 biannual fee is fair, and which is also you've seen in other communities
Yes.
at that rate. Have you seen $15?
I believe the lowest I saw was New Durham, and I think they were 5.
5?
Yeah, but,
That just went up.
yeah.
Was two.
Yeah, so there are some communities that are a little bit less, and there are some communities that are a little bit more. But a lot of them around us are right around the $20 mark. I want to say Ossipee's 30.
Okay. Oh, really? They're 30?
Yeah.
And is that, are all those communities, is that an annual or a biannual
Same
fee?
thing, 2-year cycle.
Okay.
Okay.
One thing I wanted to ask you something, and it may be in here somewhere, and it's not in line with our current discussion, but do we need any provisions or have any provisions for lithium-ion batteries with all the grief they cause?
Yeah, so we are disposing of them. They can no longer go into the regular household trash. They haven't been able to for a while, but now there is actually a fine assessed that if you put a lithium battery into the trash and it causes a fire, you are liable for it, and there's a $1,000 minimum fine for it. So there's more restrictions to it, but we are collecting them at the recycling center, and they get put into a separate storage tote, and they're handled properly at that point.
Okay. Is that well publicized?
It is, yeah. It's actually on the door of the recycling center when you walk in. There's a big sign.
See, I never read signs.
And lithium batteries are in everything nowadays. They're everywhere. So really, the best bet if you don't know is to ask one of the gentlemen up there. They got a pretty good grasp on what's what, and they'll take it from you, and they'll, again, handle it properly.
And 12.5, that's just the, striking that for the dollar. 12.10.
Ryan's Road
Yep.
pits.
Yeah.
That's
Ryan's
no
Road
longer,
pit disposal privileges, we're not doing that
not
anymore.
doing anything there.
And then 12.12, we already addressed that with the commercial haulers. And what you said you had changed hours of operation and holidays down here? So Juneteenth obviously is a national holiday, so we add that.
Yep.
And I was trying to see I think that's, the end of it is 16.3,
16.3, yeah.
the last change.
Yep. 16.3 was an added on part of the policy, and I believe it was from 2014.
Yeah, this just shall take effect,
Take effect.
2026. Okay.
Do we need to, this refers to town meetings. I don't know if there's a more current term since we really don't have town meetings anymore.
I'm sorry, where are you looking at?
And 16.
16.3.
3.
16.3, the last
16 point.
revision.
The second to last line, right in the middle.
Actually,
result
16.1
of a
mentions the
town meeting
town
vote.
meeting too. There's a couple of places that term is in there, and since we became a, what do they call it, SB2 town?
All right, so we've made a couple changes here and there. Seth, are you okay with making those adjustments that the gentleman asked for? And then if you bring us the new one, we'll just skate through it, double check it, and approve it? You want to do that?
Absolutely. Is it possible to get a decision on the cost of the stickers though tonight, as we are already in 26 at this point?
Absolutely.
I've asked the facility to not sell stickers at this point, because then
Right.
be selling some at $1 and then possibly selling some at $20.
What's the time frame on getting the new stickers?
We have them already.
I'm gonna make the motion right now. I make a motion, we allow Seth to change the cost of the stickers from $1 to $20, effective today, January 13th, 2026.
I'll second.
I'd like to amend that to,
Go
with
ahead.
a 2-year.
Oh,
Yes.
yep, please,
It's a-
right, please note that it was for a 2-year period. Sorry, Drew.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There you go.
Thank you.
A lot of work, Seth. Good job.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna go right down into old business. Thanks again, Seth.
Not a
There's
problem.
a lot put into that. Old business, fire department, ambulance billing procedure.
How you doing, chief? Good.
What's happening, boss?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. It's been a couple weeks since I last spoke with you regarding this topic. I believe you had some time to look at the proposed updated ambulance billing procedure or policy. Just here to answer any questions, make some clarify some issues if you have any.
One of the things that I would like to change in this, specifically would have been, I think we had discussed earlier, was changing it from taxpayer to resident in there, where it's gonna be residents instead of just taxpayers in general, if at all possible. And then you guys, what questions did you have on this?
I had a whole bunch of questions. A lot of them, most are minor, either questions or suggestions. There are several places in here that have a general overall description. Things like where it says areas that don't have local 911 or equivalent service and all. In terms of cutting down on the length and complexity, can we safely reduce that down since we have a local 911 service and not mention all the other state and national options that could occur?
I
Or maybe you
would
could at least look at it and see.
look at it, and then I would like to get our legal opinion then, obviously, on that before we finally implement this. So this was drafted after, written by someone with, another municipality I previously worked with legal opinion, basically saying that this was kind of the nuts and bolts of a policy regarding the ambulance billing, how they recommended. Obviously, it's not our town council, but it's another town council that I utilized in the past. That's, I'm trying to mirror that, if that makes sense. So again, I would have no problem looking at that.
Because, you know, when I read it, I said, well, that's not us, that's not us. But, and maybe in an extreme case, it is us.
Yep.
It's certainly, it's worth a look anyhow.
I'm also, the one issue I really do have here is the collections end of things.
Okay.
I really don't want to see any of the residents end up going to collections. I really would not want to see that.
Definitely not.
This is, again, where I would like to get further legal opinion, because previous legal opinion that I've worked with saying that you cannot charge or hold two different people because of resident status versus non-resident status at two different expectations or results. So you can't charge them a different rate. If someone's insured versus uninsured, you can't charge that. In this policy that is presented to you, there is in section 6, 4.d, basically uninsured patients are unable to pay the bill. They can request a lower rate, a write-off, or be placed on a payment plan by contacting the Alton Hardship Committee to set up a meeting to discuss and apply for assistance prior to final disposition. So there are avenues for residents to go through prior to that. Obviously, we know EMS is an expensive business that we do, personnel, equipment, ambulances and whatnot. They're not getting any cheaper. Just trying to look at ways that we can continue to soften the blow. It's kind of a double-edged sword. You're charging people for the ambulance service, but then not taxing them because we're building up that bankroll, if you will, to provide those, the money for those expenditures versus going to deliberative and asking for additional monies for a new ambulance or increasing the budget. So it's kind of one of those, it's a fee for service. Ambulance service is not it's not required in the state of New Hampshire. So police, fire, public works under state RSA, you have to provide or have some sort of contract with another company or municipality. EMS is not an essential service currently. There was legislation this past year which did not pass. So this is another way, kind of, it's a fee for the service.
I think there's a fair amount of discomfort, including at least two quite well-reasoned and written communications having to do with this issue about the whole question of charging, and particularly of charging, and then if payment is not forthcoming or is inadequate, pursuing with a collection agency and ultimately with a challenge to someone's credit rating and all. I'm not comfortable with that for a citizen, but on the other hand, it's hard to see how you can get around it. You don't want a situation where, and we have this in some cases in the past, where somebody's insurance company sends them the $3,000 check and they have a wild weekend in Brazil and we're out of luck.
Correct, there is, they are working on that at the state level.
I understand they're doing something. Do you
correct.
know any details about that or what might come out?
So it's a multifaceted issue. Senate Bill 245 passed and went into law January 1, which restricts or basically caps what we can charge commercial insurance rates. So there's no more balance billing. So if you had insurance company X, we can only charge what the state says we can charge. It's 3.25% of the Medicare rates, which is a federal rate, which again, people who have Medicaid, Medicare, we cannot charge more than what those rates are set by the federal government. So that is one little pocket of money. Commercial insurance are now capped at 3.25% of what those rates are. So the insurance companies are responsible for paying that in full. Then you have the third wheelhouse of the uninsured patient. Back to your question, there is a push, and I think it's going to pass, that is going to regulate those insurance companies that were paying patients directly, and then they never pay their ambulance bill, resident or non-resident. So there have been, unfortunately, residents in town that have collected substantial insurance payouts and have never made a donation, made a payment towards there, and ultimately was written off prior to my tenure here. So currently, right now, working with town administrator and a hardship committee, there are processes that are in place for people that can't afford. Those are seldom used. And it was kind of a moot point because majority of the people that would utilize the hardship committee were residents anyway. So by following the currently established policy, they wouldn't be sent to collections anyway. So it was kind of a, they were doing it at a good faith, I think, and trying to be a good citizen. Not saying that other people aren't, it's just there are processes that are in place, that have been in place, that are not typically, have not been followed. So I'm just trying to streamline everything, put them in line with what the federal and the state rates are, and then try to get, I guess, further legal opinion whether or not we can actually charge different rates and/or collection processes for resident versus non-resident. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but my opinion, working through this previously, that we can't do that legally because a non-resident could say, you're treating me different for ambulance service in the way I'm billed and way it is collected versus someone who is an established resident.
Is it possible to do that on a case-by-case basis? Depending upon a certain amount threshold?
Yeah, so the hardship committee or the hardship application, there are, depending on income and family size or household size, or that, where you meet that, then it goes to the hardship committee to determine whether or not they reduce the fee, they wipe the fee out, but it is a process due to basically income or lack of, and the ability to have that ambulance bill.
If, is it possible, I'm just spitballing, is it possible if something like this were to go into place that before they went to collections, before anybody went to collections, it would be looked at by the hardship committee to be able to decide whether, okay, we have reason, X, Y, and Z, we should definitely, forgive this, or hey, we have another reason, X, Y, Z, no.
I think that falls on the patient to have to start that process, because our billing company does send out notice, and with those notices saying that, if there is an issue with payment, basically there are ways to be put on a payment plan. Obviously, a lot of times those bills just get filed or maybe lost in the mail, I don't know, but typically,
So are you not, right now, if something like this were to go into place, you would not be notified prior to the person going to collections?
correct. So we get our monthly disposition report from Comstar, which then shows the people or the patients that have not made payment or any sort of payment plan within that three notifications from the billing company. So they send out on a 30-day rotation, 30, 60, 90 days. On the fourth one is when the fourth notification from the collection agents or the billing agency would notify them that saying, you're going to be sent to collections. We get the notification in our monthly disposition report, but the hardship part of that would have to start from the patient. if that makes sense.
Does the communication from the billing company to the patient include that information about the hardship option?
I do believe in their statement saying that you can set up payment plans, that there are other means of having your ambulance bill.
Could they be more specific
I
about
can
that?
definitely ask
Have
them,
to
and
be, have to
Yeah.
be.
So I got a couple of questions. The rates that you list here, these the same for any private ambulance company?
so any ambulance company in the state of New Hampshire, so they are capped unless they have a specific contract with the insurance carriers that they both agree to, that pay more than that 3.25% of the Medicaid, Medicare rate. So if you go to New Durham, if you go to Rochester, if you go to Pittsburgh, if you're a private ambulance, Stewart's, Lifeline, by state law, as of January 1st this year, those are the rates that are capped. And it'll be looked at again in 2 years.
Okay, so those private ambulance services do not have any supplemental forms of income in the way of taxation?
Correct. That I know of.
Right. And my other question is when you get these monthly reports, do they identify who's 60 days overdue, 90 days overdue? And at that point, does it make sense for a personal touch of somebody from the fire department or from the hardship committee to reach out? Because, I mean, some of these people don't necessarily understand what they're dealing with or what the consequences are of trying to push this off just a little bit longer. But maybe that personal touch of reaching out after 30 days or 60 days and saying, hey, Mrs. Jones, we want to work with you here. What can we do?
I could definitely look into that, whether it's someone from within the fire department or our billing agency. That's something that's in their.
Yeah, I don't think it's a billing agency thing. They tend to be very cold and very detached.
Yes.
I hear you.
So,
Talk to them, huh?
yes, yeah.
I'm going to speak to Mr. Shays and Mr. Carter's point. I got to say, I'm kind of pretty much in line with the two of them. As far as being able to contact the person from somebody at the fire department just to say, hey, you have this outstanding bill, it's 60 days old. I'm not saying, yeah, what can you do? I'm not saying take away the collections, okay? What I'm saying is give them the opportunity to either talk to them on the phone and say, you can either apply to the hardship committee or we're gonna have to collect. I'm not, in the beginning, I will be honest with you, I was completely against collections. I just am against collections just because of, situations. But at the end of the day, if they are aware that they may go to collections in the end, as long as we are able to speak to them and kind of just reiterate, this is what's going to transpire. Maybe something like that.
More
would be-
personal.
Yeah, more along the
personal
lines of,
open line
Yeah.
of communication. My biggest fear is people looking into this and the fear of collection agencies and coming after them and and having their information exposed or brought out and flat out refusing ambulance service in fear of not being able to afford it, knowing it ahead of time. And that's one of my biggest fears, is to see that happen and people opt not to have an ambulance service because they're afraid they can't afford it.
The other potential is, again, I would have to confer further with Lee, because it just wipe out the collections. Again, I don't know if that can be done or not. I'm assuming it can be, but that would be if you can't treat a resident versus non-resident different, but then wiping that out
not,
completely. But again, I just looking at options or.
yeah, well, I didn't mean resident versus non-resident. I just meant it'd be better on a case-by-case basis based on,
Oh, 100%.
like I said, the income versus what the situation was. You have an individual person, not like Comstar, like, you or somebody on the department
Yeah.
that knows.
Personal.
Yeah, that knows this. I'm not saying we don't need to collect more revenue based on what we lose. I'm not saying, of course we do. We definitely do. I don't know if collections is definitely the way to go. And resident versus non-resident, I agree. That's basically discrimination. So I
And
agree with you.
that's often handled, by the way, with, verbiage like, this may be turned over to collections, leaving the option to,
Correct.
Correct. Do you have the option right now to send people to collections? You can say
Yep.
no
So
or
on my,
yes.
on my monthly disposition report, basically, currently, right now, anybody that is I'm calling it a resident versus what's in the current policy, because that's not really clear. But anybody that has an address here in the town of Alton does not get sent to collection. So they get sent what we call the fourth letter asking for the donation, which are far and few between. And basically after that, it's written off our bad debt. Non-residents are currently sent to collections per the policy.
Okay. And I see you'd like to recoup some of the in-resident. I see
That's
what
all.
you're saying.
Some of the biggest issue I see is obviously, they're working through the legislation, is obviously the direct payments to patients. That is a big hit some years that I've looked back on some revenue.
At this point, they have three chances to reach out to you and try to come up with something.
Correct.
And there's going to be a fourth, obviously. Now, if we could, somehow figure out the phone call situation to then be able to, like you said, case by case. You see what's there. You can pick, all right, this one, no correspondence, nothing. All right, this one tried to get a hold of me. We'll work this one out, something like that. That's still in play, right? That's what we're doing right now.
And the other thing that we do not charge for, obviously, is if anyone does pass or they're deceased, we do not go after an estate or any of that, just make that. I want to back to your question, Mr. Carter. Private ambulances, typically, there are probably other revenue streams because typically they are contracted by a community. So they are receiving revenue from a community plus their ambulance billing. So I do want to clarify that.
okay.
So Wolfboro at one time, they had Stewart's ambulance, so they were paying out of operational budget at a town of Wolfboro, Stewart's ambulance to provide ambulance service. And then ambulance service was also charging for their service. So, correct, yes.
Okay.
Do you feel that the proposed rates are reasonable to cover our actual costs? I know that's kind of depends on volume, and hopefully the
So-
volume's low, but.
As I spoke last time, obviously we're gonna have to get a year of data for the new rates because the commercial rates or the commercial insurance companies are paying 100% of those current rates. The old system was balanced billing where, say, if insurance company A, depending on what your plan was, they paid $500 of the bill, the remaining bill went to the patient, and then more often than not ended up in collection. So say if it was a $1,500 ambulance bill, we'd receive 500, 1,000 of it would eventually go to collections and probably written off. Now, the rates are, for our advanced level support they're a little bit lower. However, the insurance companies are picking up the full boat of that. So I don't know if that made sense or not. They're right in line with industry standards and geographic areas of what people are charging. And obviously now it's statewide, so doesn't matter if you're in Manchester or Newmarket or Pittsburgh, it's the same rates.
And do you have any feel for, in a typical month, how many times we might need to contact someone about an overdue bill?
So approximately, I'd say 20 cases per month on average are between resident and non. That's total on a disposition report looking for how we're going to proceed.
Okay.
So on average, some months are busier than others.
I know earlier this month I had asked you what was the amounts of resident and non-resident
Correct.
amounts there were that were not received in the years. And then I asked you for the last couple of years, you
Yep.
actually took it back to 2020.
Mhm.
And you showed how this has changed through the years and what the amounts were. These amounts is, let's say, for instance, in 2020, residents was $195,287, and non-residents was $216,000 that particular year.
Yeah, so that was, my understanding that year was because there were several years that nothing had been written off. You had a large amount of uncollected debt that was sitting on the bankroll. So I'm assuming through the auditors and finance that they would took that big chunk off in
They
2020.
took those and that was written off.
Correct. So I have 17,
one of those.
18, and 19, we have 0.
Mhm.
So yes, that was probably an accumulation of several years.
Okay. And obviously you couldn't do this year because it was too close to.
So we're still working on,
Still
yep,
working
yep.
on 2025.
Yep.
Okay. And those were those were the amounts, and that was also written off for each one of those years.
Correct.
And yet you still maintain the ambulance account, revolving account has been healthy.
Currently.
It still is healthy.
We have about 875,000.
That's what I see here.
Yep. Yeah.
Still at healthy accounts.
Healthy account, but obviously we're utilizing a portion of that to offset the operating budget every year. So this year, I think we're 250,000 out of that for fire department or ambulance operations through the fire department, just as an FYI. So it's a fluctuating number.
I got a few other miscellaneous questions,
Sure.
if you can tolerate them.
No?
Where we have the discussions about patient refusal and treat and release, appears to put the responsibility on the responding people to ensure an individual is competent. Are we able to do that?
Correct, yeah. So through our training, there are procedures that we can utilize to make sure that someone doesn't have an altered mental status or intoxicated or whatnot. In the event that we feel that they are, through our protocols through the state, working with our medical director or whatnot. And unfortunately, sometimes law enforcement to have them, we can't just release them out to themselves or out on the sidewalk and further harm themselves. So, yes.
And where we list Medicare and Medicaid, does that include, and should we mention Medicare Advantage accounts, which are very common?
I believe, wasn't that in, I thought we had discussed that. I can add that into that, but it does cover the Medicaid,
it would,
Medicare
but-
is in there, yes. Or the Medicare, the Advantage is
And then when we get to credit bureaus, they report to 2 of them, but not the third one. Is that an oversight, or they list Equifax and TransUnion, but not Experian?
we can add that one in as well. I mean,
If in fact they report to.
if that's the way we end up going, yeah.
That's on account collections, which is
Oh, I see.
8.4B.
second to the last.
4B, there it is.
4B, yeah.
All right, so I think at this time, we're probably going to want to make some changes to this just in that collections section, I believe. Is that what the general consensus I'm getting, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, I would ask, and perhaps all of the board has already read the communications from the public, but if not, I would urge the board to read them. They raise a lot of good points.
Yes. Yeah, we can have a public hearing.
I think we definitely need to go to public hearing.
Is it possible to schedule a public hearing for this?
Yeah.
Chief?
Amen.
I think it's,
No,
I think it's the right thing to do.
if
to
at
go-
least at a minimum, I think the current policy does need clarification. At a
But at least it
minimum,
gives a
but
kind of a, we
trying
can
to,
take what everybody said and kind of put it, put
I
it
would
into
like to
use.
provide an opportunity, I guess, through legal to get their opinion about the rates or the collection process.
Yes, absolutely. You guys all right with that? I mean, I think we should go to a public hearing.
Yeah, definitely. It's, it's certainly one of those policies that affects
Is the board-
everybody.
is the board
Hopefully not
agreeable
often,
to,
but yes, at some point.
Is the board agreeable to public hearing at the beginning of next scheduled meeting?
I think that'd be.
Yeah, that's fine.
Beneficial.
That's fine.
You guys okay with this?
27th?
Which
That would
one
be,
we
that
got?
would
The
be,
next public meeting.
that would be
beginning of the
January
next meeting.
27th.
Schedule
That would
meeting.
give us time to post it, posting time frame, and we can hold it at the beginning of the meeting at 6:05 like we do some of the other public hearings.
Yeah,
When is that date? January what?
27th.
27th.
okay with it if, but I would like to see if we have a mechanism so the public could actually see what we're gonna have the hearing about.
Yeah, it's gonna be posted.
Well, yeah, but
You mean, are you
You mean,
talking
what
about
you
the
mean? What
documents?
you talking about?
Yeah,
I mean,
documents, the actual guts.
well, that's what I'm saying. They're gonna know what it is.
maybe, papers. Like, we have a public hearing tomorrow night, and
That would be too soon, but giving them 2 weeks, giving it 2 weeks is gonna be ample enough time for people to prepare for
We can-
having the public meeting.
We can certainly post a draft on the website and direct people to that.
Why not?
be good.
Do that, put the draft.
Not
on.
everybody does that, but at least it.
Is the new website up and running?
I think so.
The new one, I don't think it's, the,
new-
the full transfer to the new, as in, it's still being, built out with the additional department information.
So this,
It's not live.
so will this be posted, if we post it on the website, will we be able to have it here at Town Hall, right? Can we have copies here at Town
Beginning
Hall
of-
available, and then the beginning of the meeting?
Beginning of the meeting.
Okay,
Give you,
okay.
I'm fine, yeah, I'll work with TA
Ryan.
Heath with legal and.
Yeah, well, we can send that, we'll send the draft as soon as, when I get ready to post it online, we'll send it off to legal, have their formulate an opinion for the board.
I did reach out to the Department of Insurance to the state of New Hampshire, because they have their own insurance department that's formulating this whole process, but I haven't yet to hear back, and they're inundated with this new
Bet they are.
House, Senate bill, so
sure.
hopefully I have that information as well.
Okay, so just to clarify, we will have a public hearing for the new ambulance billing procedure on January
27th?
27th at 6:05. Good?
Do you wanna do it at 6:02 so you don't sit here for 3 minutes?
I'll do it at 6:02.
Excellent.
6:02.
6:02 it is.
Perfect. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
All right. Now we'll go down to town administrator reports. What's wrong?
No, I was
You
just
good?
asking,
Okay.
yeah, I was asking, I wanted to make sure I had this electronic.
What do you got for the TA report?
The only thing I wanted to bring to the board's attention, is, on the table there, there's a letter. I got notified, that the, we submitted our alteration of terrain permit for the DPW proposed building on Hidden Springs Road. The Conservation Commission submitted a letter to, DES directly, with some overall concerns. They notified me of it, to give us a copy of it, so I wanted to share it with the board. Let the board know, that, I spoke with Ty and Bond, the engineers that did it. There is some misconception as to how they're reading the plan as far as drainage and runoff. And they're gonna respond in kind to DES, but we didn't know that this letter was going to them, so I don't know. We didn't have an opportunity to converse with conservation about the letter.
Was there a reason why Conservation Commission didn't notify us before they
Just sent it?
just sent it to Ty and Bond?
Oh, they didn't send it to Ty and Bond, they sent it to DES.
I mean, to DES?
DES kicked it to Ty and Bond.
That's what I meant to say, Ty and Bond.
Yeah.
I mean,
I,
it's DES, so that sounds like coming in the back door.
I'm not overly excited that they did that. I think
That's-
they should've
that's not
probably
proper
came and
procedure, I
talked
don't
to us
think.
about that.
yeah, I don't, I wasn't, obviously, there was no discussion beforehand. I did meet with conservation before the plan was finalized, because we had those conversations, they submitted their concerns. One of the biggest things that we did was to add a 100-foot buffer to both the left and right side of Herd Brook, all the way up the property, which is more than any regular person would ever be held to for a setback. But obviously, that was a compromise, with the concerns for the brook. My main reason for bringing this up to you as well is because it does say in the letter right at the beginning that we recognize that this is a complex technical engineering document, and they may not fully understand what it is that they're looking at. So we are gonna respond to DES. The plan, and I had a meeting with Ty and Bond assured that all of the plans and the calculations and what was being submitted was all well within the current regulations and for alteration of terrain with the state. And they're gonna respond, but like I said, I wanted to bring it up to the board so that you were aware of it.
Yeah.
And also mention it to Drew in case,
Right.
I think you're the rep of conservation, right?
I am.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I didn't.
Yeah, quite frankly, I'm a little blindsided by this.
Okay.
I gotta be honest with you, I'd like to know,
I'm thinking that I wasn't sure that you were aware of it.
you didn't know about
but I
this,
wanted
No, I
to-
did not.
I will
So,
say, and I am I'm a little disheartened, especially, in that first paragraph, that last sentence, and it is therefore possible that our concerns have already been addressed. Well, maybe they should have reached out to Ty and Bond or one of us beforehand instead of sending it to DES. So
But that's-
pushing forward, if we would like to make some sort of formal response to this, I think.
well,
I was
can I ask
thinking
a
that-
question first? Did you or the Conservation Commission, since this letter, have they contacted you at all? Have you had any conversation?
No.
At all?
No. No, this came through Ty and Bond to me. What was it, Ty and Bond got it through DES. They said, are you aware of this? And they kicked it back to them, and then in turn, an email chain went to me and said, are you aware of this?
Yeah.
So,
So even since then?
no, there hasn't been any communication
So we
since then,
have a
but-
board member, a Board of Selectmen member that sits on the Conservation Committee that was not notified from the committee that a letter was going out.
That's
to
an issue.
DES. That's what we have here, is what you're telling me.
That's a major
Right?
issue.
I don't know.
Really? You had no idea, right?
No.
Okay. We're gonna have to handle that situation as it comes, I guess.
I think at this point.
It doesn't appear that this was handled very well by conservation.
No, you didn't know anything about this.
I think comments
Where
should
did
have
this come
come
from?
here to this board.
We could have certainly, by all means, I mean, we just don't want to give the perception to anybody else in the community or outside the community that we're not working together. Because first thing Ty and Bond did when they contacted me, they're like, should we do a presentation? Should we come over? Should we? And thinking to myself, I think we're behind the power curve on that. I mean, it would have been nice to do the presentation before.
Right, exactly.
DES was, kicking this back and forth. Which I don't think it's any kind of, I mean, aside from being their general concerns, I think it is pretty clear in there that they are saying on the surface, they had concerns with a couple of rain gardens and catch basins, but they openly said, none of us are engineers, we don't really know what it is that we're looking at. Well,
We
the problem
pay an
with.
But to go
engineering
to
firm
Well,
to tell them.
The problem with that is DES is not gonna go explain that to
No.
them, but our engineers would certainly come in and
That's what I just said.
dispel everything. So,
Protocol would have been for them to come right to the town hall and discuss it with us and what we had made a decision on, what we talked about, and then talk to DES. Not the other way around.
Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you for that info.
and
Thank you,
I mean,
sir.
however, I'm sure after a meeting somewhere down the line, Drew will probably have that conversation, and I'm happy to assist in any way or whatever you guys, whatever transpires out of that conversation.
Right.
But other than that, that's all I had.
All right, we'll go to Selectmen reports and questions. Mr. Carter from the far end.
Yeah, first, I didn't know, no, so from the last meeting that I was at, we did cover, the fact that, on all the property management, monitoring and reporting, that all of the properties were managed to be reviewed and reports written. All the properties overseen by the Conservation Commission, reports done, all of them this year. And there were no issues on any of the properties. January 17th, there is going to be a presentation on the lake water testing results, which have been pretty darn good, quite frankly. It's really amazing, the results. The Coffin Brook and Mill Pond, I think, are the only ones that are potential problem, and so they're pursuing that. And there was also some concerns that the DES decisions are not getting relayed back to Conservation Commission. So, and I think that they're going to be, Gene's going to work on trying to better that communication link. So, that's all I got on that.
Thank you. Mr. Shea?
Yeah, we did get, good news from the state on our milfoil fund matching, which historically has bounced around some, but was 50% last year and is now gonna be 50% this year, which is gonna be helpful with our budget. I wondered, if, and I'm looking at our budget going forward, given the fact that, we've kind of taken a shellac in the last couple of years. And we talked about the need for better communication and additional communication. I wonder if we would attempt to develop, or if this is a harebrained scheme, what would be excluded or likely to be excluded from the current budget if we are pushed into a third-year default? Because I think most residents now, don't really have a good grip on, what's in and what's out, and except for obvious things like, no home week fireworks, they don't see any difference whether they got a default budget or the full-blown article. I don't know how to overcome that. Maybe it's just a personal hang-up of mine, but if anybody has any ideas along that line, I think we should entertain them, because it'll be budget time before we know it, as far as public hearings and all.
Dick, we do have plans for, we're gonna do a mass mailing with a voter guide.
Yeah.
I was just waiting for, tomorrow night is the public hearing. I just didn't want to start talking about numbers till the public hearing, and numbers were actually done, but we've been in the process of formulating that voter's guide. Just with some, just like you said, some informational facts about where areas are suffering, what other areas are still gonna be covered, how we've been making it work, and what those methods look like, and what they'll look like going to a third-year default, so that is one effort that we're.
Yeah, that
doing.
certainly would help.
And it was suggested by the budget committee, during the budget committee process, that we do it actually in a mass mailing, and not just, put it out on the website or do something. I mean, we'll put it out on those areas, but the mass mailing, being that, there was actually a couple volunteers from the budget committee that offered to help facilitate that mailing.
Oh, great,
So
okay.
I'm
yeah.
certainly gonna take them up on it.
All right, other than that, the only other thing I was gonna ask about, I never see any emails from the public. I don't know if they just don't email anymore, or if somehow, but for a while there, we were putting them in the selectmen's in tray, with notes about, I did this and we fixed that, and maybe we just haven't gotten any lately, but I don't think I've seen any for months.
We haven't really got anything. We haven't really got anything
That time of year.
recently. At that particular time, there was some hot button topic issues. The swap shop being, but certainly we didn't change that process. So
All right,
if
I
there
didn't know
are
if there
more
was
that
some
start flowing
tray
in,
I didn't know about,
yeah,
but anyhow, all
you'll
right,
be sure to get them in the read file for sure.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shea. Mr. LaRochelle?
ZBA had a meeting last week. It was the first short meeting we've had in a year. We had 2 variances that were approved. And it was a relatively short meeting.
You deserve one of those.
Just before that, the month before, was a 4.5-hour meeting. On another note, just to mention, getting excited about, I don't know if anyone's noticed out on the ice on, in Alton Bay, we've marked out all the airport markings for the runway, the taxiway, and the landing area. We're checking the ice tomorrow, so if it looks like we got that 12-inch mark, the 12.5 inches mark, we may be trying to open up something this weekend, if that's possible.
Gonna be a
So
banner
it's
year for
gonna-
the runway.
Gonna change things a little bit and have some fun out there.
Beautiful. Planning board meeting, there was a couple small things. Gentlemen, thank you for approving that 3-shared driveway. That was one of the issues we had. Couple lot line adjustments. Other than that, nothing too out of the ordinary. That's all I have. So we'll go down to, we got to do approval of minutes, gentlemen. December 9th, I know there was, and was that the
Nope,
December 9th?
December
No?
9th is fine. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from December 9th, 2025.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving down to the December 9th, 2025 non-public minutes, non-public session. We're going to keep those sealed, correct? Right, and move down to the,
Also on that,
yeah.
Mr. Chairman, there's got to be a correction. It's,
They reversed us,
they
right?
reversed the
Yep.
chairman and vice chairman. That was written wrong. Who led the meeting was Mr. Bonapane, not Mr. LaRochelle.
I demoted you. Apologize.
Usually. That, we'll make that, that amendment. December 30th, 2025, public session minutes.
I'll make a motion, but we also have a correction on that.
Same issue, I believe.
No, this issue was that I was excused and not here at that. I was present for December 30th, 2025 meeting.
Okay, so we'll make that amendment to the December 30th, 2025, public session minutes.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
You firsted it.
Oh, okay.
I'll second it.
You
All
s-
those
you
in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then we're gonna go down, what?
Which one did you not get a motion, the first one? Do we have a motion for, she didn't miss one?
You missed one?
Yeah, December 9th, public session.
That was-
Paul?
We didn't vote on the
We
non-public.
didn't, no, December 9th, 2025, non-public session minutes. I wanna, have that amendment for Paul for switching us, and I'll, make a motion to keep them sealed.
Second.
And approval to keep them sealed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
And then December 30th, 2025, that was approved, and we're gonna go to the December 30th, 2025 non-public session minutes, make a motion to keep them sealed.
And amend.
And amend the, Paul Rochelle, Nick Bonapane, chair, vice chair situation.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Beautiful. Fine, a little confusion, we're fine. We're fine. Gentlemen, any questions on the consent agenda? Down the far end.
I did have a question on the consent agenda. I gotta find it.
Here's one. Probably different than yours.
I just wanted to verify the raffle application. That is for the purely the benefit of the Alton Central School, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Then I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Or does somebody already do that?
Nope.
No, that's you. That's all you.
We have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Beautiful. Motion passes. Discretionary action on request for appointments, we have none. Let's go right down to public input 2, limited to 5 minutes per person on any governmental town business. I'd like to open the floor. Slide back a little.
Gentlemen, the only exciting thing I heard here tonight, I have to be honest with you, public hearing and runway. Everything bad I heard was revenues. How can we get more money out of the taxpayers? Let's go to $20 fee for a dump permit. I was against dump permits originally, okay? I think they're useless. You're gonna charge $60,000 for 3,000 people so they can use the dump you're already taxing them on. I don't understand, that's right. Your fire chief stated that he's consulted outside legal from the town, somebody that he used to consult with from another department. As a selectman, that should have you bothered, because you have your own town council. At least that's what I interpreted from what he was saying.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, but that's for you guys to decide. I'm just bringing up what I've heard and maybe I misheard. The current policy, yes, maybe does need some, because it was never put in place the way it was voted. As far as the fourth letter coming from the fire department, I never received one last year. And as my meeting before to you, I was contacted by Comstar. I also contacted them. They said one of Alton's problem was they had no contract with the insurance companies. They would have gotten more money out of Anthem on my policy the day I went to the hospital for that ride to Wentworth Douglas that They didn't have to do anything on me, they just had to watch me. I just needed a pacemaker, but they said I couldn't drive. Well, I worked all day on that same heartbeat at 28s. I could have driven in Wentworth, because next time I will. Because that was a $2,800 bill. And all they did was watch me until you talked to me. They didn't do any perform anything. That was a big bill. When I went from Rochester to Portsmouth one time with Stewart's, it was less than what Alton charged.
If something had happened to you, would you have wanted them there to help you, or would you have wanted to be driving your own car?
The point is, what I'm trying to make, Nick, is to you, there's going to be people to do that because they can't afford it. They're going to worry about a roof over their head versus that. You kept talking collection. Why are we even talking collection?
We were trying to talk about not having it, Roots.
Well, that's not what I was getting, but that's all right.
That is what we were saying.
Okay, that's not. what-
Trying to eliminate.
Out here, that's not what it was listening to. I mean, collection shouldn't even be a part of it. And not even a discussion, I would assume, as me, as an individual, okay? I could charge whatever I want too, but do I? No. I go with the trends. What my market can bear in Alton, not what my market can bear in New York City, or what the federal regulations are. Because we see how our federal government is right now. We see what mess we're in this country. We keep following? Well, let's keep following Meredith on their stickers. Let's keep following other communities. Let's be followers. Let's not be a leader. Let's lead. Let's be different in town. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thanks, Ruben.
Speak clearly within 12 inches, okay? Lauren Carr.
Good evening.
Good evening. I was looking through the minutes and the consent agenda. I'm concerned. I don't quite understand what it says. It says Water Department block. And then on October 28th, it said Hannaford Brothers, $42,584, the Water Department. Well, $42,000? Is that a rebate to Hannaford's? What is that, 42,000? Then on April 1st, Helene Shields Revocable Trust, $71,964. What is those?
Those are both software problems. They were they weren't rebates, they were abatements, both directly related to software problems, software glitches in the billing system. They were, yes, nobody used $46,000.
So they got a bill for $71,900.
They did.
Yeah, you'd think they just pay it. What's the big deal?
Okay. I brought up the thing about the 100-foot at the meeting before the silence meeting. And I picked that new zoning ordinances up, and that's where it came up with about, I think it was 20 or 25 feet. And I mentioned about the 100 feet is going to cut back, and now evidently the Conservation Committee has decided that they'll just do their thing. Well, first of all, I want to say, they work for your pleasure. I think you really ought to look up the RSAs. They work under you. It's to your pleasure what they do. Not them, they're not a separate entity, what they can do what they want. That isn't how the law is read. Well, maybe Ryan can get up the laws for you, you can read up on that and see how bad it really is what they did. And what I'm concerned about is it's so arbitrary. Why didn't they say 87 feet, 9 3/4 inches away from the water? 100 feet is just an arbitrary number. What can be worse than a government that runs on arbitrary decisions? I asked that if you're going to have the public hearing on the insurance and you're going to put it on the web or the internet, that you make it aware of what the changes are. What's the changes going to happen? You know, the planning board, when they present their articles, they put them in red, the changes, something like that. Just to put a bunch of papers on the internet and people not know what is going to be the changes is not going to be helpful for the audience. So I ask that you do something that shows what the changes are going to be to the public for this new changes. And last but not least, one of the members mentioned that the people should get a good grip on the budget. I think they're gonna get it when they see the fee went from $1 for the sticker to $20 for a sticker. I think they're gonna see just exactly what's gonna happen with that budget. And I have to say, about 2 months ago, a person came in and did not believe the truck was a good purchase for hauling the trash down, right? And now you come in here tonight and you add up all these fees. What do you think is going to be the consequence? What do you think is going to be what are they going to assume is happening here? That doesn't look good for your default budget. I'm telling you that, especially, you know, maybe the truck is the greatest thing, maybe it's saving us a lot of money, but people are questioning it, and then you jump up the fees on this stuff? What do you think is going to?
It's $1. Has been $1 forever. Don't you think at some point that does have to change?
Do you not think the people are going to say, what the heck is going on, $1 to 20?
Yeah,
After you
because it's
bought-
been $1
af-
forever. It's
you-
time for change, as everybody just said.
Okay, I'll just put my input in. I won't argue with you, because I guess that's what you think this is. But this is what people are going to assume. And then on top of that, you're going to have a mailer. You're going to send out a mailer. That's great. But yet you're not going to send out a mailer for the registrations? Think about it.
Either way. Can't win either way. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. Carr. Okay. Any more public input? Seeing none, I'm going to close it. We have no non-public this evening. Motion for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.